Guy showed up at an interview in just a slippers and a hoodie, and the interviewer saw him and didn't shake his hand or acknowledge him. Why? Is it fair? Of course not, but it is real. It is reality. I'm sure the interviewer saw him. I was like, probably he's a cleaner or a repairman, or he just came to do something, maybe fix something in the office, and not actually on, and not that he came for an interview, because he didn't dress right. Now, there's a saying that says that you dress the way you want to be addressed. Dress how you want to be addressed. Now, I want you to ask yourself, is your dress sense making sense or nonsense? Hello, everyone. You're welcome to another episode of Flashes of Dynamic Youth Thoughts from the stable of SIPCC Global Youth of Salvation International Prayer Christian Church. I'm your host for today, Clara Jegede, and today I'll be talking on a topic, dress sense or nonsense. Now, I want you to know that your clothes actually speaks, not in a literal sense, because of course our clothes doesn't have a mouth, but our clothes has a silent voice. It speaks before we speak. It says your clothes can be saying, "Oh, I am confident," or "I am confused," or your clothes can be saying that "I want attention," or your clothes can also say that "I want respect." That is what I mean by your clothes speaks, and your clothes has a silent voice. Now, I want you to know that you don't need to dress, or you don't need to have designer brands or designer clothes for you to have value. You need to know that you are dressing as someone who respects themselves, values growth, and is aiming for something and is preparing for what is next. That's what you should know about your dressing. Now, when does style become nonsense? Now, I would say that the first one would be when you start dressing to impress others, and then you thereby end up losing your identity. And I'm sure that a lot of us are guilty of that. The second one is wearing what is trending, but not what's you. A lot of us, we tend to want to be among. So whatever is trending, we just jump into it. We get to the market and want to buy it or want to order it straight away. Or if you see our favorite influencer wearing something and then it starts trending, you just want to jump into it. I'm sure a lot of us have experienced a situation whereby we can be walking down the street or just doing something outside, and then we can meet like 2 or 3 people wearing the same outfit that we are wearing. Yeah, think about it. How do you feel about that situation? What's that feeling? What's that thing that comes to your mind when you see such a person wearing the same clothes that you're wearing? That's it. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, the third one is letting your clothes or your dressing speak louder than your character. It just made me remember a video that I watched on TikTok. It's actually a snippet from a movie, and it shows a mother talking to her daughter, asking her daughter for clothes, and then her daughter was like, "Oh, what do you need my clothes for?" And then she was saying that, "Oh, the clothes is for her niece." That's of course her daughter's cousin. So she was just like, "What do you mean?" That her mother should explain further. And then she was like, "Our niece is like her niece wears clothes that doesn't cover up like part of her body that needs to be covered up. So she wants clothes from her daughter's closet to give to her niece so that she can cover up." And then the mother at some point was not like trying to say that her niece dresses like a prostitute. Of course, she used another word, but I don't want to use it here. So she said that her niece dresses like a prostitute. Then her daughter was like, but that doesn't make sense, because she knows her cousin. She knows that her cousin isn't like that. Her cousin is a whole different kind of person from what she wears. She said that her cousin just dresses to express herself. And her mother was like, how is that expressing herself when she's dressing like a prostitute? Now, from the story that I just shared, it shows that the mother had already judged her niece just from her appearance, just from the way she dresses. That's what I mean by letting your clothes speak louder than your character. A lot of us, we are guilty of this. Anytime we meet someone for the first time, we always judge the person from the outer appearance, right? We don't even think about, even before we get to know the person, we've already given an analysis of who the person is just from the way the person dressed. Because you can see a man on the road wearing suits, but the man can be mad, can have mental disorder. You just never know. But because of the person wearing suit, because the person is wearing a suit, we've already given an analysis that the person is classy or is sophisticated, you understand, but not knowing that in the inner appearance the person is actually mentally unstable. Or if you see a madman on the road wearing tattered clothes and wearing dirty clothes or even naked, don't know, we've already like given analysis because of the way the person has dressed. We already know that the person is mad, even without seeing his whole display of madness. We already know that the person is mad. That's what I mean by letting your clothes speak. Letting your clothes speak louder than your character. And a lot of us have experienced this. A lot of us, because of our dressing, we've missed opportunities because, oh, they've already given an analysis of who we already are from our dressing. I just want you to know that your clothes can actually act as a portfolio for yourself. Just like you go to school, you acquire knowledge, try to build your CV, and then you submit your CV to the workplace. Your CV is like has already given your interviewer an analysis of who you are from just your CV. So that's the same thing as your clothing. That's the same thing as your dressing. Your dressing also acts as a portfolio. Now, I also want you to know that you cannot hide your insecurities with fashion. A lot of us feel like we can fix our insecurities with fashion, and that is not true. That's why we end up doing things or wearing clothes that do not speak for who we are. Now, I want you to also know that style can be bold, it can be creative, it can be cultural, but it needs to reflect your values. You need to know that you need to dress for the future. You need to dress for the future you are building and not the present and not just the present you are surviving. Now, what do I mean by this? I mean that your dressing, the way you dress now, should reflect your goals, your aspirations, and the person you aim to become. Your dressing should reflect what you want to portray or what you want to bring into your future. That's what I mean by dressing for the future and not the present you are surviving. Now, have you ever noticed that real leaders, they do not dress to show off, but they dress to show up? That is what you should aim to become. That is what you should aim to portray. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, I will be leaving you with my final words. I want you to know that you shouldn't dress to impress, rather you should dress to express. You shouldn't follow trends, but rather you should set standards for yourself. I want you to dress like the person you want to become. You might not have gotten there yet. You might still be envisioning that future for yourself, but you should start dressing for the person you want to become. Dress like you are there already. That's the point of what I'm trying to say. Dress like you belong there. If you want to become a lawyer, if you should start dressing like you're a lawyer, start putting on white and black, I guess. And if you want to become a nurse, get the nurse outfit and put it on. But you understand what I'm trying to explain here. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I hope you'll be able to take what I have spoken today or what I have admonished you on today into your daily lifestyle. Please do follow us on our social media platforms at SIPC Global Youth and SIPC Global, and also shout out to View Radio for partnering with us on today's episode. And please do not also forget to follow them on all of their social media platforms at View Radio and on Facebook at View Radio Media. I hope to see you next week. I remain your host, Clara Jegede. Bye.